I'm Professor Mike Lawless. I'm the founder of the V2 Pitch Competition. When I arrived at USD in 2011, this is one of the first things that we got going. You may know that this is not just a one-off event. It's part of a process that actually starts in fall term. We have our marquee event in the fall called the USD Legacy Entrepreneurship Conference, which is coaching and mentoring and inspirational. And we finish off the academic year with the V2 Pitch Competition that we're here to tell you about. Our entrepreneurship manager, Regina Bernal, who's familiar to a lot of folks, is here too. Between the two of us, we'll fill you in a lot of detail about what to expect, what the timeline is, and the like. That's pretty much what we're about today. Answer your questions and get you ready to enter the competition. Before we get too deeply into that, I want to introduce Kenzie and Charles from the Entrepreneurship Club. Tell you a little bit about what we're doing.
Start out USD. First off, thanks so much for coming. I know it's raining outside. Appreciate you showing up. And I'm Charles, and as Dr. Lawless said earlier, thanks Dr. Lawless, Regina, for putting this event together. The most exciting thing about entrepreneurship is opportunity, and opportunities around us. So with the USD E-Club and with the V2 Pitch, we have this opportunity of getting investment capital to start your own business. No matter what your business idea is, there's no idea too big or too small. With that being said, I wish you the best of luck and good luck.
Hi guys, so I'm Kenzie. I'm the president of Entrepreneurship Club this semester. I'm so glad to see you guys all here, and the fact that you guys are here means that you guys have an entrepreneurial spirit. And so with that being said, we would love to have you guys come out to our Entrepreneurship Club events. The first one will be this upcoming Thursday. It will be coming a speaker who is an entrepreneur, and will be sharing his journey and story, and we hope that you guys all come and gain some insight from that. I know personally I'm an entrepreneur, and joining Entrepreneurship Club has helped me gain insight from fellow local entrepreneurs, and it's been a great experience for me, and I hope you guys also get a lot out of it as well from this event and from Entrepreneurship Club. So we hope to see you all out there.
Great, thank you, Entrepreneurship Club. Actually, just to reinforce that, their program is just terrific. They've had wonderful speakers that bring to campus and really broaden and add to what we do in the classroom. And they have good food usually too. So this is the agenda for this afternoon. Their introduction, I'm going to introduce the V2 Pitch Competition. Regina will add to what I tell you. One of our finalists from last year, Janira Quigley, will be with us toward the end of the meeting. We'll show a little bit of video from the V2 Pitch Competition last spring, and then pizza. So here's the timeline. I want to give you just the facts up front and then fill in any details that you may need along the way. We'll start off with, we call this building a pitch deck. It's a little workshop in what to look for in building a pitch deck in general for investors, and in particular for our V2 Pitch Competition. That'll be on the 14th. Then we kind of jump to April. Pitch decks are due on Thursday, April 4th. And I'll tell you about what's involved with the pitch deck and what this evaluation stage is like. A week later, the finalists will be announced. The filter here is usually from about 35 entrants at the first stage to 3 finalists. So it's quite a reduction in the number of finalists from the total number of entrants. We have a special coaching session for the finalists, mandatory for the finalists, but open to everybody who enters on April 16th. And then the pitch competition itself is on Thursday, the 25th. And so that's our timeline. Any questions about that before I get into kind of the mechanics of the pitch competition itself? All good? Okay. I got to do some erasing here. So what we think are some of the cool features of our competition that make it unique among entrepreneurship competitions at business schools around the country. First of all, it's based around a pitch. You might have heard of business plan competitions at some universities. So ours is definitely a pitch, and that consists of 2 parts, a pitch deck and then a presentation. And the presentation itself is an oral presentation in front of the judges. So This isn't dark enough. All right, I'm going to try green. That dark, can everybody pick that up? Okay. All right, so the mechanics of the V2 pitch competition. What do you submit and how are you evaluated? There's a pitch deck and then a pitch. And only the finalists actually do an oral pitch. Pitch deck is 10 slides. And the finalists will get 7 minutes of platform time. So that's the format. Like I said, there'll be a coaching session on March 14th to kind of give you some guidance about how to build a pitch deck specifically for a pitch competition. This evaluation of pitch decks due and then finalists announced is only based on the pitch decks. So if you enter, you submit a 10-slide pitch deck or a maximum of 10 slides and a narrative that goes with it. If you've done PowerPoint before, you know there's a little space at the bottom of each slide for a narrative. So that is what the first filter is based on, and that's when we go from 30 or 35 entrants down to 3 finalists. Okay. So that's on the 14th. Finalists are announced, and then we'll go on to a coaching session and the competition itself. In terms of the mechanics of the evening itself, so on the 25th of April, that's our big night. The evening unfolds in a couple of different stages. The first is what we call a venture fair, which takes place in the quad out front of the IPJ. So if you can picture that area out front where that the fountain is, that's all set up for entrants who choose to present their ventures. The idea here is that even though real angel investors have picked the 3 finalists from the 30 or so entrants, that there are lots of different paths to be successful as an entrepreneur. And this is an opportunity for non-finalists to present their venture. So they could set up a table or bring out a rack of t-shirts or show a prototype of their device, whatever it is, for about 45 minutes before the competition starts. So venture fair is the first part. Then we go right into the competition itself with the presentations. So this is V2 Pitch Evening. Venture fair. The pitches are in the IPJ Theater. And like I said, there are 3 USD finalists. And with the help of a number of different people in our USD network and with Regina's hard work, we've been able to make the competition international in the last 6 years or so. We started off by having a second track, a USD track, and then a second track of teams from Mexico, typically from universities in Baja. In the last year, the year before, and this year, we'll actually have teams from South America as well. So we'll have a team from Mexico, from Uruguay, and from Chile. So we'll have 3 countries represented in the international track. This chemical expression is not mine. I just couldn't get it off here. So, okay. So that's the evening. Each of these pitches, like I said, is 7 minutes. In front of, this is a real important characteristic, real angel investors. And so picture the IPJ Theater on the stage, 3 angel investors from US, well, the USD students, and 3 angel investors who are very familiar with South American markets and South American entrepreneurship and the investing environment in South America. The 3 USD pitches go on, the 3 international pitches go on, and then the angel investors meet individually with the three finalists. So we do the breakouts. If you're facing the IPJ, there are a number of breakout rooms on your left side. Those are set up so that there can be one-on-one meetings. So after the pitches are complete, there are one-on-one meetings where the investors can ask a few questions of the entrepreneurs, maybe kind of kick the tires on their business idea or their financing model or their marketing model. Then the investors adjourn, confer, and talk about how to allocate the fund. So fund is a big piece of this, as you can imagine. This year, we're targeting $20,000. And what's interesting about this fund, I think for us, and it, again, something that makes the competition, if not unique, then very special, is that this is not a tournament format. So this is an investment fund as if these investors were making investments in these companies, and they decide of the 20,000 how to allocate that money among the three finalists. Okay? So it's not first prize 10,000, second prize 5 like that. This is the whole fund at stake, and the three angel investors decide to allocate that among the finalists. We think that's a pretty cool and dramatic aspect of the competition and makes it very realistic. So the announcement is made. There are some prizes, handshakes, pictures, and that's the end of the evening. Typically takes about 3 hours total, so you can expect to be around for all of it if that's possible, because it's really worth being around for it totally. But if not, any piece of it is actually a lot of fun and interesting and dramatic. So what am I leaving out? Another perfect presentation. Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of a quick overview of what the lead up to it is, the schedule leading to V2 pitch, the evening itself, the structure of it, some of the things about it that we think make it unique and special. And I'm happy to take questions before I turn it over and let Regina add some more information for you.
Maybe something to add. What have you seen has made those initial pitch decks successful to take it to the final three?
So that's a great question. So the question is, how do you get past this first screening? Remember I said the big screening is from about 30 or 35 entrants down to 3 finalists. Actually, what you really want to do is go to my presentation right here. That's the short answer. But think about this. You have 10 slides. If you get to be a finalist, you have 7 minutes. We have a couple of angel investors who are actually USD alums, and they tell me they could look at 1,000 potential pitches a year. Professor Kunin is with us. He's an angel investor. He could tell you he could look at hundreds of pitches a year. So the first thing you need to think about is, how do I very quickly stand out and catch the attention and the interest of that angel investor? And they're going to be starting to think about, does this make sense? Can I imagine a market? Can I imagine this project, a product or service actually being built? And they're going to be making those judgments very, very quickly. So you got to grab that attention, build that confidence in a very short period of time with a very few slides. That wasn't staged. Regina just asked me that question. Can I answer anything else? Yeah, sir. Yeah, so you can think about this as being very close to a real angel investing evening, like at Tech Coast Angels or South Coast Venture Group or San Diego Venture Group. Yeah, so it's going to be profitability and return on investment. So can I imagine this venture being successful enough so I can get the ROI from my investment by taking on the uncertainty of a very early stage venture, maybe not being able to have a total picture of the market or all the management team in place, but I get enough of what's going on here. I think that it's going to work enough so that it's worth putting my money at risk. What stages are the companies that enter usually at? Is it just an idea? Are they in a beta? Are they We don't have any that's another great question. So how much proof of concept is there for these ventures? And it's pretty much all over the board at the 35 initial entrance stage. Back to the first question, one of the tests that an investor is going to make is there any evidence of a market and that the thing can be built and sold? So the further along you are with building out a revenue stream and showing evidence of sales, the better off you are. There's no restriction at who can enter the competition about how far along you have to be.
So I guess typically the three finalists, they would be much further along. They would likely be like testing it out or proving a concept in the data.
Yeah, I'd say as a general rule. I think in entrepreneurship it's very dangerous to say never. But typically, if you just have an idea, not very much contact with your customer, your market, just what you think is a cool idea, that's probably not going to be as strong as somebody's got maybe even experimental or early sales. Yeah.
Has one group ever walked away with the whole pot?
Pretty close. We've had 1 year, 3 years ago, where one team got 80% of the 1 out of 3 got 80% of the pool that was available. So it can be pretty dramatic. It's not, let's divide it up 3 ways and be nice about it. It's, what do we think is going to work? And by the way, to clarify, I had a couple of questions before we really got started. This is basically almost no strings attached money. Notice the almost, but there's no equity stake involved in this. So whatever money you win is your money with no obligation to the university, except that we really are wanting to track how you do. So there is an obligation to report back to us periodically about how far your venture is developing, what roadblocks you're hitting, what successes you've had, and the like. So that is an obligation that we're imposing. But like I said, it's not an investment. It's basically a prize. Yeah.
So, going back to like the early stage things, would it be, is there any sense of like confidentiality like put into the structure of this pitch to where like we are certain that like this is ours and it's not going to be run with, like
Right.
pitching as a competition? What's the confidentiality in the, what's the, okay, the person next to me who just saw that's not going to be like, oh, I got that.
Right.
I understand what she's saying. I see what they just told her, she basically just failed, I'm gonna fix that and take it.
Yeah, I got it. So the question was, is there a level of confidentiality with information? If you put proprietary information in like a pitch deck, is it protected? And the answer is no. But we do offer coaching along the way. So there are a couple of coaching events here where investors and successful entrepreneurs can help you decide how much to reveal in your pitch deck and in your pitch. But yeah, you are risking a little bit of putting your proprietary information out there. There's kind of an art, though, to deciding how much to reveal without giving away what really could make someone imitate or kind of jump on your idea before you can implement it. That answer? Good. Anything else? Yeah, sir.
So I get that they're not venture capitalists, but from people who have won in the past, do the angels stay in touch with them and give them like guidance?
Honestly, it's been hit and miss. We've been focused so much on running this thing, getting it started, getting it to kind of an even keel and running year after year pretty smoothly, that only in the last year or two have we been systematic about tracking the companies, which is why I'm really emphasizing it now. It's really important to us, and the information that we have historically is pretty much based on networks. Like if I know some of the students in a venture, they got funding, they'll tend to stay in touch with me, but we haven't required them to, so we don't have systematic information. But we do have, you might know, a new analytics degree at the master's level here at USD. We're working closely with our marketing professors and our statisticians to track and make sure we have better records now than we have in the past. Sir?
Just for anyone who is wary of intellectual property, you can file a provisional patent, which protects your idea for a whole year legally while you're gathering enough money to actually submit a full patent, and that costs roughly anywhere from $200 to $300.
Okay, there's an idea for you.
You have a legal stake in your idea. There's a bunch of online, I think, legal
So that's another idea. My advice is more, maybe in addition to that, is figure out where a line is that if you can find one that says, I really don't want to give this part away, but I can kind of hint to why it would work. Anything else? Okay, thanks for your attention. I'm going to turn it over to Regina, and we'll get on with the rest of our program. Thanks.
So just based on that question about the connection to the angel investor, so Will Caldwell, actually, he pitched at V2, and then later one of the angel investors, James Brennan in this case, got in contact with him and did a more kind of official investment in the company. So yes, basically even from the venture fair. So I've had people reach out after the venture fair and say, hey, I talked to this student, I really like their company, I want to connect them to this person. So it's a really fertile environment for those collisions with potential investors or supporters or people that can become a partner. And then in connection to the E-Club, so who here has heard of Holy Matcha in North Park? Some of you, I'm sure. So actually, she's one of our alumnas. She graduated 2 years ago. She's about to open her second location. So we really like to also bring back people that have graduated not too long ago and talk about their initial graduation and how they started the business. So I think that's really important. The other part is get to know our alums. There's so many Torero companies in San Diego and beyond, and those are probably some of your best bets of people to sit down as mentors, and then even that mentor can become an investor, right? So that would be something that I would point out. And the V2 pitch competition is one piece of everything else that's going on at USD for innovation. We do have the Brink now, which is the Center for Small Business Development, and they have professional consultants to be able to meet with students. So that's a resource there. We have the Legal Entrepreneurship Clinic, where you have priority as a student, where you could actually go and get some legal advice, which is incredible. We have the School of Engineering that we work really closely with. So maybe they could be some of the guide there on the technical side if your venture is very technical heavy. So just a lot of moving things within the university to help you in this process. I know that today it seems like so much information, but just remember it's a pathway and there's so many steps along the way for you to get support. We have mentors as well. So if you meet with Mike and I, we're able to connect you. If you're struggling with one specific side of the business, we might have someone who's an expert in that space and would be able to guide you. So just a thing there. I think the students that I've seen for the last now 7 years be the most successful are the ones that make the best use of all the resources that we have. They're the ones that stay connected to the alumni network, which is huge. So for example, someone like James Brennan, who was a co-founder for Suja, who is actually now a piece of it was sold to Coca-Cola. And from there, he now has a portfolio of over, I don't know how many companies. He's always on campus and he loves to meet with our entrepreneurs. So just remember to always build that network and connect that way, I think is very important. And so just a resource that we have, of course, on our website, we are updating everything on the events as they show up so that you're in the loop. I will continue, of course, to try my best to give you the information so that it's not last minute, so that you have enough time to plan ahead of. So for example, if you're coming to the pitch deck coaching session, if you already have questions, then that session would probably be even more useful if you come prepared, is what I've seen as well. And then, so we have also, like, if you're curious about who won, we do have our winners showcase for the last years. So you could, go there and see some of the companies and what they've been working on. And then the question about how late or how early an idea is that got funded. So Generations, who I will show you their pitch, they were very early stage. So they were an early stage company, but they really did a really good job at explaining what their market was. So I think that really helped them. And then, for example, Picket was a little further out, but still early stage. So don't think that you already need to have this like super built company that's already being sold. The point for us, of course, there's money on the table, which is great, but you're here to learn. So that's our biggest thing, that when you're here, this is the best time for you to test your ideas, right? You're here with so many resources. No one's gonna judge you, if you're not a successful entrepreneur. This is all about learning. And these companies, it doesn't mean that, we're not a VC fund. It doesn't mean that they have it all resolved. It just means that they've put in the work to get the resources that are necessary. So I am gonna show you the pitch, the winning pitch from last year. And if you're interested, you can meet with us and we can show you the winning ones from, previous years. And if there's a company that you really connect with, that you wanna meet with them and talk more about their process, we're happy to do that as well.
Thanks, Kingery. Our next pitch is by Generations.
For having me. Hello, thank you for having me. We have a major problem in America, one that affects every single person in this room. Human beings are a tribal species. We're meant to live in family groups. This allows us to serve our individual needs as well as contribute to society as a whole. As the populations of our cities increase, so too does our disconnect. On the one hand, we have 11 million seniors that are socially isolated, in part because they're geographically removed from their families, and that statistic is expected to double in the next 20 years. On the other hand, we have young families that are struggling to make ends meet. In San Diego, in 2018, the median housing price is $543,000. That means that a household needs to have an income of 6 figures to begin to afford a house. And if that wasn't enough, rising childcare costs make it so that it's impractical to have 2 working parents in most cases. Generations is the bridge that links these 2 communities. It can be monetized while creating something beautiful. Generations is a web-based service platform that allows stay-at-home parents to build a business and an income by providing caretaking and companionship services to seniors. Think Uber meets Care.com. Shopping trips, rides to the doctor, meals in the home, and that's just the beginning. Our stay-at-home parents can build a menu of services around the needs of their family and post it to the website. Our homebound seniors can then book those services on the website, or more likely, by calling a customer service representative and having them do it for them. The services are paid for by seniors themselves, and Generations keeps 20% of revenues as an industry standard. Generations has a competitive advantage by being a first mover in the market. Government agencies and nonprofits serve seniors, but they're limited by government funding, by donations, and volunteer hours. Generations is 100% sustainable because we're self-funded. We also serve the unaddressed market of companionship and relationship building. In addition, we serve not 1, but 4 end users. Each generation has needs to be met, as well as contributions that they can make. Our baby boomers have wisdom, time to spend, but they need relationships, they need companionship. Their sons and daughters, Gen X, these are professionals. They have a small disposable income, but they don't have time. They need the peace of mind that their parents are well taken care of and are healthy and happy. Millennials have mobility and small pockets of time with which they need to build an additional income. And lastly, our Alpha Gen, these are our little guys. They have plenty of love, and trust me, as a mother of 2, they have plenty of energy. What they need is to learn the value of caring for the elders in their community. I'm going to tell you a story of where Generations started. the VFW donated a Christmas tree to my elderly father. And it wasn't the tree itself that was meaningful, but rather the time the sponsor family spent with him decorating it. I can't be with my father every week, and so I asked the mom of that family if she could have him over for Sunday night family dinners. It's always the highlight of his week. And I've offered her $30 for that service. And that was our first successful alpha test. Since then, we've added 5 families and 7 homebound seniors. This generates $350 worth of revenue each week. And we're now ready to beta test. We've created an interest list that has 17 retirement communities, 79 stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home parents, and 119 homebound seniors. And all of these people are eagerly awaiting the launch of Generations. Now let's talk operations. We have 3 industry leaders that we've looked at to model our business model as well as our revenue model. We will also be growing in phases, 1 community at a time. A community consists of 100 seniors and approximately 25 families to serve them. We will be growing a community leader from within that's responsible for marketing, recruiting, and the training within their community. Now, imagine with me, each senior spends just $25 in services per week. 1 community can generate $130,000 of revenue in 1 year. But wait, that's not all. In 1 year, in our first year, we will develop 1 community per month. In our second year, we will double those efforts and develop 2 communities per month. And in our third year, we will have the infrastructure in place to grow exponentially. This system can be duplicated or franchised in potentially any major city across America. Now let's meet the management team that's going to make this happen. My name is Janera Quigley, and my colleague Anna Keneally and I are USD graduate business students. Anna has experience in accounting and marketing and consults for startups in that capacity for the last several years. She is also the founder of Leftovers of Love, a successful nonprofit right here in San Diego. I have been a director of training as well as director of operations in the medical industry, and I was a leadership mentor and consultant. We've partnered with USD's legal clinic to round out our management team for the first 2 years before we scale. We are asking for $30,000 to breathe life into this company. $12,000 to launch our multidimensional marketing campaign that will address all 4 market segments that we mentioned earlier, and $18,000 to build out our web platform. And this is not incremental funding. With this funding, we will generate revenues on day 1. And in the first year, we will be 100% sustainable. The time to move is now. We must leverage our technological landscape to build a strong and connected community before it's too late. My name is Janera Quigley, and this is Generations. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
What one of the pitches looked like. Many of the points that Janera made and the way that she did her presentation are what we coach and what we help you toward on the way to April 25th. And we have a surprise for you. Janera is actually with us this afternoon. Come on out, Janera. I'm going to put you totally on the spot here. Do you want to say a few words about your experience at B2?
Hi, thanks for having me. So my number 1 fear is public speaking, so I don't know if that's anybody else's fear, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. I figured that if I was going to really be out there in the business world, I was going to have to conquer that, and so what better way to get on stage and do a pitch. And I don't know if anybody else has that fear, but you can absolutely do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And now I do this for a living, pretty much. Yesterday, I was in front of the Encinitas Senior Commission, and I was pitching the company, trying to look for partnerships as we scale. So I've kind of fast forwarded from the V2. But just so that you guys know, that actual experience, it wasn't the pitch night where I actually gained so much value from this competition. It was all the workshops leading up to it, all the mentoring, all the coaching. I can tell you that 2 days before that pitch looked nothing like what you saw right there. We actually got paired with a mentor at one of the workshops. He's a chief strategy officer for a medical company nearby, and he had me for an entire day. I mean, he had me up here. You're going to make your point right here. You're going to backpedal. You're going to look in the eye here. You're going to look in the eye here. And he had it down so that I was a professional, and I still use that. He helped us brand some of the terms that we were using, and I still use that every time I go and I look for a partnership, or I go and I'm looking for funding, or any of the things that it takes to scale a business. And so the V2 was super helpful. It also helped that, on a random work day, I still work full time. I could come in here and jump up here and be on the microphone, and it's fine. Another thing was all of the relationships that were built afterwards. So after the V2, it opened some doors. It was, especially here on campus, all of a sudden, I'm able to do like an incubator class with Dr. Priya, which was hugely helpful. I got in with the Brink here on campus, and they started opening doors for me. Some of the judges, Stath Karras and Sylvia Ma, who are huge like investors and mentors within the San Diego startup community, they started opening doors to where we were entering different pitch competitions and different things like that. So yes, it's a pitch competition, and yes, you're going to get out of your comfort zone a little bit, but all of the networking opportunities and the opportunities to learn and grow, that's the biggest part. And to be honest with you, so obviously I came back to school after 20 years, doing my real career. I decided to come back for my master's. Probably the single most impactful thing that I did in my entire graduate career was the V2 pitch. And I'm not just saying that, I swear. It's not just because they're right here. That was the biggest learning experience for me. So I'm here to answer any questions, if you have any concerns, or you just want to know how it goes. I know I was terrified, and looking back, it was probably one of the best experiences of my life. But yes.
At the time of pitch, did you have even sort of like a beta version launched yet, or what was the timeline like in correspondence with
Right. So the timeline, when I sat in this chair for this workshop last year, it was an idea in my head of, hey, wouldn't it be great if, and it was something that I had kind of tried out with my own family members. So I have an elderly dad, and I kind of did that for him, and then my sister thought that was a good idea, my best friend thought that was a good idea, so they both kind of did it. And so at that point, I was like, this would be a great business idea. And it wasn't until I was halfway through the V2 like workshops and things like that that I actually added Anna to my team. We had been on a group project together in one of our classes and saw that we worked really, really well together. And everything that I kind of lack, she was really good at, and vice versa. So we thought we would team up. By the time the V2, we were pitching it, we had just created interest lists, and that was it. And it takes a lot longer to launch a company than you realize. There's so much work that goes into it. So we're still piloting different ideas, and we're still putting like different people together. We don't have a solid, this is exactly what it looks like, and we're ready to scale. We're still pivoting and kind of playing around with it. Yeah. Yes?
Do you have a script that you memorize like word for word, or did you make points and then just talk about them?
Yeah, so I'm horrible at coming up with things on the fly. I'm not really good at that at all. So when I did it, I had my pitch and I kind of came up with a script. Now, when I met the mentor a few days prior that was gonna help me like with my stage presence, he kind of like gutted it. And Anna was sitting there and she was taking like feverish notes of what we were gonna do. And so then she and I got together and we actually, I wanna say it was pretty word for word, how I memorized it. And I didn't just memorize it like reading it and going over it in my head. Like my poor dog probably saw this pitch like 1,000 times. I was like in my house and I was doing all the movements and inflections of the voice and everything. And then when I got on stage, my brain was out, like I don't remember it. I don't actually remember that happening. So what came out was not exactly what I memorized, but because I had so much of it memorized, I was able to kind of just pick up and not have to think, because there was no thinking. It was kind of like a deer in headlights, like, oh my God, I might die. Yes, yeah. Yeah, the Venture Lab, the Torero Catalyzer. So that actually was last semester. I just graduated in December, and I took that as an extra class in the fall. That was the first semester that it was offered. No, I took that after. So, so as far as I understand, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Lawless does like the whole launch, like how to create your business model, how to pitch it, those types of things. Priya kind of takes in when it's ready to be incubated and accelerated and get you ready to actually scale. She kind of helps you work through your pivots, and actually once you have launched and gotten some funding. Am I right with that? Yeah, so I did take Priya's after the V2. Yes. The only coaching that I got was through the V2 workshops. So there was like a pitch, I want to say like a pitch deconstruction or something like that, and it was the week right before, where you can go and show them your pitch, and then, there's some mentors, some professionals. And I went, and it was really just on paper at that point. He's like, you're not even ready to like be up front and do it. And I'm like, I don't know. And so that's when he was like, let me help you. I'm gonna help you gut it. The workshops are great and the mentors are great, but being open to ask for more and say, hey, can we meet up? Or what else can I get, from this opportunity? It's like the doors are wide open, and you can ask them, hey, can you give me a little extra? Or is there, are there any other events that you think that I should go to? Yeah, because there's so much out there. I couldn't keep up with it. There was so much to like learn and take in. Yeah.
Just plugging into that question, so that coaching session on the 16th, actually really cool. Our code name for it is the Jayla Siciliano coaching session. So she was an MBA student, and she actually pitched on the show Shark Tank, and Mark Cuban became her investor. So she invited her coaches before the show, and some of them have remained with us for 5 years, and they've come back, and then some new ones that we've added. But that's a time where you actually get one-on-one, like you're in a room, and all the attention is for you, and you can make the best use of the time. So you could actually go through your pitch, they can coach you on that part of it. So, and then again, if you're open to more coaching and it's something that you want, or it's something that you really want to improve, then again, meet with Mike, meet with me, meet with Misty. I mean, we're a big team of people that we can connect you to.
So this coaching session, like I said, Jayla's moved on. She lives in Santa Barbara now, and she's running her company. But we still call it Jayla Siciliano Coaching because she kind of helped us get it started. This is one event. Notice it's after the finalists are announced. So it's mandatory for our 3 finalists, but everyone who entered is invited to this coaching session. It's a wonderful opportunity to get some real coaching from angel investors and successful entrepreneurs.
Everyone, but only B2 entrants. So this is only if you submit a pitch deck, you're part of our list. It's B2 entrants, so it's like a very high quality. We put in our best coaches for the session, so I definitely would recommend attending that one.
Oh, and one other thing that I want to tell you guys, what I've learned through this process is that if you're an entrepreneur, like, this is not your first business idea. I know that for a fact, and it's not your last one either. Like, this is just kind of, oh, you have that entrepreneurial spirit, and so you're constantly launching things. If you're anything like I was mowing lawns as a kid and painting curbs and doing all kinds of things to like try to make money. So this business idea was probably like my 10th or 11th, I want to say. So even if you're not super like, oh, this is it, this is exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life, you have an idea brewing, I'm sure you do. Do it, because it's such a great experience. And then what you learn from the pitch competitions and from the mentors are something that you're going to be able to take with you when you do get that winner, that, you know, that idea that you do want to push.
Just one, well, go for it.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna ask, what do you think the costs for the marketing campaign and the
So Anna her job is marketing, and she's actually working on the website right now. So she does website development, marketing, all those type of things. So that was her department.
So just, we promised we would feed you, and there's really warm, delicious pizza outside waiting for you. And just she's going to hopefully stay for a little bit longer, so you can ask her more questions outside.
Yeah.
And then Professor, say hi. So he was one of the investors that chose you.
Oh, thank you.
He's been in the rooms of how these pitch decks were chosen. So if you want some insight on what he was looking for or how they were evaluated, he literally was one of the 5 investors that helped decide. So he has the inside knowledge of the conversations and what they were looking for, and he graciously has agreed to stay and talk if you want to ask him or talk to him. And he actually, you have your office in the School of Engineering, so he's around and another great resource, and he knows everyone in San Diego, so he's super connected to the larger investor ecosystem in San Diego.
Chris?
Is he going to be one of the investors this year?
We haven't signed him up yet, but could be.
I may, Charlie, I may decline due to potential conflicts,
Of interest.
apparent conflicts of interest. Actually, I'm very fair as a judge, but I don't want to look like I have, you know, Charlie's one of my students, Rafe is one of my students. So I'll
So
see
this was
a lot of my
before he
students.
became USD family.
Uh-huh.
He's a very strict angel. So if you want some really candid honesty, he will give it to you for sure.
Yeah, I usually don't have time for the sugarcoating.
We don't sugarcoat.
Exactly.
We're about to let you go have pizza. Just one other point. A lot of the video that Regina was referring to, the video of Janera's pitch, is linked to our website. It's usdentrpreneurship.com. There's a lot of video there. Everything we do is recorded. The Legacy Conference in the fall, the pitch competition in the spring, and it's linked to a YouTube playlist. So there's lots of resources on video. I hope you have the idea from all this that we're here to support you. We love that you're interested in entrepreneurship. We treat this as an extracurricular learning experience, and we hope, regardless of what you choose, that you attend, enter, become a finalist, and continue with your dream. As we can help you, we're certainly here to do that. Thanks so much. Thank you.